Hey everyone, it's Triple Mango Threat. This series is all about mango decks. Mango decks are built with each card less than the price of a mango in the US, which is 98 cents. The commander is not included in the mango deck pricing, but the rest of the 99 cards will all be 98 cents or less based on the TCG price. So you can imagine the challenge of making a mango deck would be. I can't wait to show you what I built. Let's jump right into the episode. Hey everyone, it's Triple Mango Threat. Today we're talking about a $25 mango deck that loves having creatures in our graveyard, and if you stay till the end of the video, there's going to be upgrades for the deck and you won't want to miss them. Our commander is Meren, clan of Nel Toth. She costs 2, black and green, she's a 3/4, and she says, whenever another creature you control dies, you get an experience counter. At the beginning of your end step, choose target creature card in your graveyard. If that card's converted mana cost is less than or equal to the number of experience counters you have, return it to the battlefield. Otherwise, put it into your hand. So even at the beginning of the game, when we don't have many experience counters, we can still return a creature from our graveyard to our hand at our end step. It's really easy to get experience counters with all of our sack outlets, creatures that even sacrifice themselves, which really helps us get those counters early in the game. If you love getting creatures put into our graveyard and back onto the battlefield over and over, then this is the deck for you. Let's get right into it. The mana rocks are really simple this time around, with Commander Sphere, Golgari Locket, Golgari Signet, and Talisman of Resilience. We're able to cast our commander turn 3 with Golgari Signet or Talisman of Resilience, and the earlier we cast Meren, the earlier we're going to get those experience counters, and that's really going to help our deck get ahead. The ramp in the deck is Far Wanderings, Harrow, and these are non-creature spells that are going to help us get our lands onto the battlefield. This can definitely push us ahead of our opponents, and we can fix our mana if we're needing. Primal Druid, Sakura Tribe Elder, Viridian Emissary, and Wood Elves. When it comes to the creatures of the deck, we want to use them for everything. So when these guys enter, when they die, we get lands to the battlefield with our commander. We can repeat this effect by getting them to our hand or straight to the battlefield once we have enough experience counters, which is extremely easy to do with these cards. Now we're going to need removal in the deck, and this can all be done with creatures. Acidic Slime, Plague Crafter, Ravenous Chupacabra, and Reclamation Sage. All of these creatures have an ETB, which means every time they enter the battlefield, we get their trigger. Whether they enter the battlefield from us casting them or from our commander's ability, we get the triggers for a removal spell. These creatures are better than other non-creature removal spells, because we get to repeat those effects with Meren. If they die due to us sacrificing them or they die in combat, we get them to ETB again and again. As for the board wipes, we have Gaze of Granite and Ingarrick's Wake. These are non-creature spells, but they're still really good and they're in our budget. With Gaze of Granite, we can pay 0 for X and kill all tokens, which is insane and really cool. With Ingarrick's Wake, it targets creatures and planeswalkers we don't control, so we could swing all in after this board wipe and do some serious damage to our opponents. Onto the card draw, we have Ambition's Cost, Costly Plunder, Funeral Rites, and Harmonize. These are also non-creature spells, so we can't keep repeating them, but they're still really good. Costly Plunder has a sack creature in addition to paying the cost of the card, and this isn't a setback for us. Actually, it propels us to get more experience counters, and we get to draw cards, so this is a great card to have in the deck. Funeral Rites helps us draw cards and mills us for 2, and this can help us get more creature options in the graveyard. Grim Haruspec's, Disciple of Bolas, Liliana's Standard Bearer, and Midnight Reaper. We're going to be drawing a lot of cards in this deck, as you can see. Liliana's Standard Bearer is a really cool card. When it enters, we draw X, where X is the number of creatures that died under our control. So if we do a mass sacrifice of our creatures, we get experience counters and a huge amount of cards. Grim Haruspec's and Midnight Reaper draws cards when non-token creatures we control die, and that will be happening a lot in this deck, so it was really easy to add these to the deck list. We'll need sack outlets for our creatures with Vampiric Rites in Witch's Cauldron. We pay mana and then we can sacrifice our creatures to gain 1 life and draw a card. What's really cool is the creature isn't specified to be non-token, so we can sack our token creatures to draw a card. Carrion Feeder, Eater of Hope, Phyrexian Plague Lord, and Smothering Abomination. All of these are creatures, so if our opponents do destroy them, we can always get them back with our commander, which is really nice. Being able to sacrifice a creature without paying mana is one of the best things to have in the deck. When our creatures die, we can also deal our opponents damage with Bastion of Remembrance or Conrad the Grim. Vindictive Vampire, and Zulaport Cutthroat. Not only do we draw cards when our creatures die, but we deal our opponents damage. If we have all 4 of these out at once, we're dealing 4 damage per creature that dies that we control. 10 creatures, and we deal 40 damage. Yeah, these cards are super nice and really show how powerful 1 damage per creature is. We can fill our graveyard with Acolyte of Affliction, Satyr Wayfinder, Mulch, and Winding Way. We can grab a card from our graveyard when we use them, and then dump the rest into our grave. I would recommend choosing land if we're needing it, because if our creatures go into our graveyard, that's no big deal. Our commander can always dig them up for us. As for the lands, she can't help us in that department. We can get more cards back with Golgari Finebroker and the Biting of the Titans. These could get us the cards our commander get with her ability, which is really nice because if our opponent gets rid of an important piece of our deck, we can always get it back. I would like to thank Mateus for the comment he made in my second Mango deck episode. He recommended to add some protection for the commander in the video, so let's talk about Mirror Shield and Spider Umbra. Mirror Shield is a great budget protection spell. It's going to give our equipped creature hexproof, which is very important when the commander is essential to our deck and how it functions. Spider Umbra has totem armor, which means if our commander was to be destroyed, instead the aura is destroyed. We can find a lot of options with green aura cards and having totem armor. This can save us a lot of money compared to other well-known protection spells like Swiftfoot Boots and Lightning Greaves. If you're looking to upgrade your deck, let's talk about Ashnod's Altar, Viscera Seer, and Woe Strider. These sack outlets will really help out the deck, and we can keep sacking creatures without having to pay mana, which is super sweet in the deck and can leave us to pay mana elsewhere. We can put these sack outlets in for Vampiric Rites, Witch's Cauldron, and Witch's Oven. The cards we're putting in does cost us more mana, but we won't have to pay all that mana in activation cost every single time. So you can look at it as we're saving a ton of mana for the whole game. Be sure to pick this one up whenever you can. I would put in Massacre Worm for Gaze of Granite. I know the CMC is going to be more to pay, but it targets creatures with toughness 2 or less, and makes them lose life whenever their creatures die. Harvester of Souls is going to draw us cards whenever a non-token creature dies. This means for our opponent's creatures as well, we're going to draw cards. We can put this in for Moldavine Reclamation because it only accounts for when our creatures die, so why not get more triggers for 1 more mana? Avenger of Zendikar. This is a great card to have in this deck. It makes us tokens, which those tokens can get bigger each time we play a land. I would have to put this in for Verdant Force. They're the same CMC, which is helpful and doesn't mess with our mana curve. Eternal Witness. She's going to grab us any card from her graveyard, which is really sweet. We can put her in for the Biting of the Titans. The Biting of the Titans only targets creatures or lands in our grave, which can be very limiting, and Eternal Witness is also a creature, which is really helpful because we can abuse her ETB with our commander. Underrealm Lich. When we draw a card, instead we look at the top 3 of our library and put one into our hand and the rest into our graveyard. This will be a great way to build up our graveyard, and if you blink, we're going to have most of our library in our grave in no time. I would put this in for Acolyte of Affliction. For 1 more mana, we can dump a huge amount of cards into our graveyard. It's like using Sensei's Divining Top over and over each time we draw, and that's amazing to do in the deck. We can fill our graveyard with creatures we don't even have to cast, and get lands and non-creature spells to our hand. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the 3rd episode of the Mango Deck series. If you haven't seen the other 2 episodes, check them out because they are budget friendly and I'm sure you'll enjoy more deck tech ideas. If you liked this video, hit that like button. If you want to tell me about the cards you liked or if I missed a card, comment below. If you want to see more Mango content, be sure to subscribe. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.